With the WINN FM News, I am Kevin Brown.
And I am Yolana Weeks.
Our top stories: Melissa Bouton's financial literacy push, empowering communities through your money worth.
Alexandria Hospital Nevis hit by mold outbreak. Ministry of Health awaits PAHO recommendations.
Over 1,700 traffic accidents recorded for 2024 with 13 fatalities.
St. Kitts and Nevis celebrates Marcus Garvey's clemency.
Former Guyana minister says budget lacks a sustainable plan to address poverty and cost of living. Jamaica launches digital human trafficking course. Internationally, how will Trump withdrawing from the WHO impact global health? Now, the details. On January 20th, 2025, WINN's Money Matters with host Dr. Terence Martin featured Melissa Bouton, who has made an impressive shift from civil engineering to personal financial education. As a certified financial education instructor, author, and former chief executive of a financial services company, Bouton founded Your Money Worth. The startup aims to enhance the financial well-being of student loan borrowers while promoting financial inclusion in the Eastern Caribbean and the United States diaspora. During the episode, Dr. Martin mentioned the region's critical need for financial education.
The issue of financial literacy in our region cannot be overstated. Many individuals face challenges when it comes to making informed financial decisions, which impacts everything from investment rates to loan defaults.
Dr. Terence Martin introduced Melissa as someone who embodies resilience and has a passion for financial literacy. He further articulated his excitement about learning about Bouton's innovative approach to addressing these issues. Bouton's journey into the world of finance is both inspirational and transformative.
Of course, growing up in St. Kitts and Nevis, we don't have formal, we have it now, but formal financial education as we're growing up. But we do, like every person on this planet, learn about money just from observing our communities, how our family manage money, how we spend our money. So there are informal lessons, of course, that we learn. But it was just within me always, seeing money as something that should be managed well, even as a child. My spending money is not just for me to spend and then go back and ask for more.
Her childhood experiences managing her allowance instilled in her a profound understanding that money is a powerful tool, not merely a means to an end.
At some point, transition to personal finance education and even expanding my career experience to working in wealth management. And now, after returning to St. Kitts and Nevis, my beloved home, having the opportunity to serve at the head of the National Cooperative League, representing the credit unions in St. Kitts and Nevis. And from there, we're here today where I am building Your Money Worth. So it was just in my nature, I guess, to recognize that money is a tool or, something that I need to learn more about.
She went on to obtain both her bachelor's and master's degree in civil engineering, but faced challenges as a working mother of a neurodivergent child. This prompted her to reevaluate her career and explore personal finance, primarily to understand her student loans better. Throughout this exploration, Bouton gained insights into her finances and authored a book about student loans. This exposed her to the significant gap in financial knowledge accessible to Caribbean millennials.
I was able to figure out my student loans, and I even wrote a book on a guide on Caribbean student loans because I realized this information is not available to us. And by the way, the way that the student loan is set up in terms of the reducing balance type of loan, it applies to mortgages, it applies to other types of debt. So it's knowledge that you need.
Highlighting the need for improved financial literacy in the region. Today, Bouton leverages her extensive financial knowledge within her company, Your Money Worth.
Your Money Worth is the company name, and Caribbean Finance is the media outlet, financial content media outlet of Your Money Worth. So that ties into, I guess, the purpose of the company, which is to build technology and digital financial education and financial technology to promote financial inclusion and collective financial well-being.
This dual initiative aims to create a robust digital financial education platform that enables individuals to conveniently access critical financial knowledge. Her approach is designed to make financial education accessible, especially in the context of the Caribbean economy, where interactions with financial institutions predominantly occur through traditional banking.
The level of individuals who invest in the Eastern Caribbean stock market is at 4%.
Underlining the limited engagement citizens have with investing. The platform aims to address this gap by providing easy access to financial courses and tools, fostering a culture of financial empowerment. Bhutan's strategy of partnering with financial institutions, schools, and community centers to enhance the reach of this education is especially encouraging.
If, for example, I'm a member of Liberty Cooperative Credit Union, and Liberty Cooperative Credit Union, subscribes to provide Your Money Worth to their members. By having that access, they can go to the local library to get the connectivity if they don't have data and access the courses. And again, this is to add on to financial education initiatives that may involve in-person workshops and things of that nature, but also giving them access to the financial education digitally.
Importantly, Bhutan highlights the inclusion of practical financial challenges, teamed money sprints, which encourage participants to actively integrate the knowledge they gain into their personal finance strategies.
It's not about just gaining knowledge. So it will also include money sprints, which are financial challenges where you would have, organize your finances in 7 days. So the key for Your Money Worth is bringing the knowledge, the money mindset, the money knowledge, and money skills into play and pulling it together to foster financial wellness. Because you can take a course on anything that you would like, you can read books, but if you don't put it into action in your personal finances, you're not going to see that change.
Melissa Bhutan's mission and vision for Your Money Worth underscore a critical truth. Financial literacy is not just about numbers. It's about empowerment and equipping communities with the knowledge to make informed decisions that improve their lives and strengthen their locality. As Martin punctuated the discussion, Bhutan's work reflects the increasing recognition that financial literacy is essential for economic stability and individual empowerment in the Caribbean. With initiatives like Your Money Worth, Bhutan is not just a pioneer of financial education, she is a catalyst for change that will positively influence a generation.
Police have announced that Glenn Keith Richardson of Wingfield Road, Old Road, has been granted bail after being charged in connection with the death of 4-month-old Mackay Edwards of Halfway Tree. Richardson was released on January 16 on EC $30,000 bail. According to a statement from the police force, he is currently facing 3 charges. 1. Causing death by dangerous driving, which resulted in the death of 4-month-old Mackay Edwards. 2. Injuring a person by wanton driving, involving Tiana Phipps and Khadijah Lewis. The incident occurred on January 11, 2025 at Johnson's Long Path on the island's main road in West Farm. Richardson was formally charged on January 14, 2025 at the Bastia police station. The bail was set by Magistrate Her Honor Rhonda Nisbet Brown at the District A Court in Bastia with strict conditions. 1. He has to surrender his driver's license, which has been suspended, surrender all travel documents, report to the Old Road police station every Monday and Friday between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., and maintain a distance of at least 100 feet from all witnesses and avoid contact with them directly or a third party. Richardson's compliance with these conditions will be monitored as part of the legal process.
Mold has quietly crept its way into several government buildings in St. Kitts and Nevis, raising concerns about how the infestation could impact people's health. Recent pictures of the basement of the Alexandra Hospital in Nevis circulated on social media, highlighting concerns about mold infestation. However, the Ministry of Health Nevis confirmed that the areas previously occupied by laboratories, medical records, and physiotherapy services had been relocated. Quote, the Ministry of Health is aware of concerns raised by recent images circulating on social media showing the basement area of the Alexandra Hospital. We take this time to emphasize that the areas pictured are not currently being utilized for services to patients or the public and are not occupied by staff. The ministry prioritizes quality care to our people and has always done everything possible to protect the health and safety of staff, patients, and the general public. These images are a deliberate attempt to mislead the general public. The areas pictured previously hosted laboratory services, records, and physiotherapy. We reiterate that these areas are not occupied by staff and patients as we work to remediate the area. Unquote. The Ministry of Health Nevis said it sought the assistance of the Pan American Health Organization PAHO, and the necessary measures to remedy the problem would be implemented following recommendations from the organization. Quote, "The Ministry of Health has opted for a comprehensive long-term solution. We have initiated a thorough investigation into the root causes of the issue, with experts from the Pan American Health Organization PAHO conducting a detailed analysis of the problem." This study was done since the latter quarter of 2024. PAHO worked in collaboration with our Environmental Health Department and are working together to provide us with a comprehensive strategy for addressing these concerns. Once the detailed recommendations are received, the ministry will take swift action to implement the necessary remedial measures. Unquote. The concerns of mold in government institutions in recent years have not only raised the health concerns, but also an unsettling feeling amongst a fraction of the populace who believe that greater attention should be given to work environments, such as proper maintenance and repairs where necessary. The Nevis Island administration came under scrutiny for abandoning several public offices for years, with little to no work being done to address the concerns about mold infestation and some termite infestation. The places of concern include the former Water Department Billing Office, the former Premier's Ministry, the space which previously housed the Nevis Information Service, the former Charlestown Public Library, the High Court Registrar, and the Alexandra Hospital Dispensary, among others. There are also public concerns about the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation office space at Bath Plain, the Gingerland Public Library, the Gingerland Health Center and Dental Clinic, and the Charlestown Health Center, which have been left abandoned for years, leaving residents to wonder about the next step for those buildings.
St. Kitts and Nevis continues to struggle with traffic safety, as highlighted by Sergeant Sophia Henry of the Traffic Department of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force. During the Traffic Talk segment on January 20th, 2025 on WINN's Island T, Sergeant Henry revealed the alarmingly high statistics for traffic incidents in 2024, emphasizing the need for increased caution among drivers. Sergeant Henry reported a total of 1,345 accidents in St. Kitts and 436 accidents in Nevis for the year, culminating in a disturbing total of 8 fatal accidents, resulting in 13 citizens losing their lives across both islands.
For last year, we had 1,345 accidents. That's just in St. Kitts alone. In Nevis, we had 436 accidents for 2024. And out of the 1345 plus 439, we had 8 fatality within that.
That's
and within
federal,
that
right?
8, yes, within that 8 fatality, we had 13 persons lost their lives. Yes, 13 persons.
The remarks underscore the critical circumstances surrounding road safety, with specific attention drawn to the dangers of speeding.
And speeding can kill. Even if it doesn't result in a fatality, the impact of a speeding car crashing into another vehicle make the collision much worse. Remember excess speeding. When you have that speed, you don't have full control of that vehicle if you have to stop suddenly.
The discussion tackled speeding violations, with Sergeant Henry explaining the fines associated with such infractions. She noted that the cost of a speeding ticket could escalate quickly.
A speeding ticket can cost up to $950. It can cost up to that. Because every 10 miles over the speed limit, the first is $250. And every 10 miles over that is $100 extra.
This illustrates the financial ramifications of speeding and pleads for drivers to adhere to safe driving practices. Moreover, she emphasized the importance of patience while driving, stating patience is a virtue to foster safer road conditions. The session also sparked a broader discussion on drivers' responsibilities when navigating the roads of St. Kitts and Nevis. Sergeant Henry indicated that the increased number of vehicles poses additional risks.
And as I said, no way in St. Kitts is too far and the roads are not getting bigger, but every month we're having the car boat with vehicles coming in. For last year, we had 2,039 registered vehicles.
Furthermore, there was discussion surrounding the advent of traffic lights and their purported impact on accident statistics. Henry cautiously stated her belief that there had been no significant increase in accidents since their implementation, although concerns about compliance were raised. Ultimately, the extensive conversation revealed the immediate challenges faced by the traffic department and the need for a cultural shift towards responsible driving behaviors. The dialogue emphasized the significance of collective driving etiquette.
All we have to do is just take our time when we're driving. Take our time.
This principle echoed throughout the discussion and captures the essence of traffic safety awareness and education in St. Kitts and Nevis, which aims to reduce accidents and save lives.
The United States granted posthumous clemency to Marcus Mosiah Garvey, Jamaica's first national hero. Joseph Biden granted Garvey clemency as he approached the end of his tenure as America's president. The landmark decision received the full support of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, a decision which rectified the historical injustices against the great Jamaican statesman and a man who was regarded as a champion of black empowerment and civil rights. The government's statement reads, quote, Marcus Garvey, a towering figure of Pan-Africanism and a fierce advocate for the empowerment of people of African descent, holds a unique connection to St. Kitts and Nevis. In November 1937, he visited Bastille, St. Kitts, and delivered a rousing address at the Mutual Improvement Society Hall, now a historic landmark on Lower Market Street. His words remain deeply relevant. Quote, your country can be no greater than yourselves. It is not God that makes the cities and towns. God gives you the land, but you build the cities. Your St. Kitts and Nevis will be no greater than your mindset. Unquote. Marcus Garvey was pardoned almost a century after his disputed conviction for mail fraud in the United States. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis reaffirms its commitment to Garvey's principles, self-reliance, education, empowerment, and progress as the nation continues to build.
In regional news, former Guyana minister says budget lacks a sustainable plan to address poverty and cost of living, Guyana News source reports.
Describing this year's budget of $1.3 trillion as one that ignores the plight of the poor and the working class, former Minister of Finance Winston Jordan said the hodgepodge of measures included in the budget will not address poverty, nor the plethora of challenges confronting the poor. Appearing on the PNC's program Nation Watch on Sunday, Mr. Jordan, who is an economist and also a former budget director, said a one-off cash grant of $100,000 and minute adjustments made to the country's tax structures will not significantly address poverty. He said there should have been more measures contained in the budget to address the everyday hardships being faced by citizens.
48% poverty cannot be solved by a one-off cash grant. 48% poverty cannot be solved by an increase in the threshold from $100,000 to $130,000.
Where it is consistent with the minimum wage of some.
Short-term poverty cannot be attacked by small increases in old age pension. So you see, all these short-term things, while recognizable, and perhaps while needed as temporary relief, poverty has to be solved ultimately by long-term policies, by structural reorientation of the economy, by the creation of permanent jobs of high income, by substantial and measurable improvement in areas of education, health, and so on, by equitable distribution of resources, income.
In an effort to cushion the impact of the steep rise in the cost of living, the government has been allocating billions of dollars to address the cost of living woes. This year, the government has set aside $9 billion to address cost of living issues. Last year, $7 billion was spent, and the year before, $5 billion. Mr. Jordan said through the years, the government has failed to provide a clear plan for utilization of the money, and he has called on the Office of the Auditor General to investigate the use of the funds. He said the government continues to direct a significant portion of the budget to infrastructure without any clear plan.
They will end up doing the same thing as they were doing since 2020, which is biggest budget every year, the bulk of which targets infrastructure. That infrastructure being poorly executed, a lot of it is not derived from any particular plan, infrastructural plan.
The former Minister of Finance said the budget is not grounded in any medium to long-term national development plan. He said Guyanese deserve better, and the government can afford to provide better support to the Guyanese people, now that the country has one of the fastest growing economies thanks to the booming oil sector.
Jamaica launches digital human trafficking course. Television Jamaica has that report.
Jamaicans will now be more equipped to detect signs of human trafficking following the launch of a digital human trafficking course. The course, which is free, comes with a certification and was developed by the Office of the National Rapporteur on Trafficking in Persons. Kimberly Petty reports.
Human trafficking continues to be a threat locally and internationally. The crime can happen in plain sight, but without awareness, detection can be difficult. Jamaica has decided to boost its preventative strategies with the launch of an online course. Diane Gordon Harrison is Jamaica's first national rapporteur on trafficking in persons and children's advocate.
This particular course is an open, free access, short course that if you give us just about 40 minutes out of your day, you can be certified as having properly completed the course and as having base information which will be very important in the anti-human trafficking fight.
Mrs. Gordon Harrison says the course will be relatable to Jamaican experiences. The 2024 Trafficking in Persons report of the U.S. State Department says Jamaica remains at Tier 2 in its anti-human trafficking efforts. This means that the government does not fully meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking, but is making significant efforts to do so.
Jamaica has a good framework in terms of how we are approaching the scourge of human trafficking. We have our legislation, which is particularly robust and really deals with all of the different areas that the Palermo Protocol that we signed on to says we are to deal with. So we're dealing with prosecution, we're dealing with prevention, and we're dealing with the protection of our victims or persons who are vulnerable and could become victims.
National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang lauded the National Rapporteur on Trafficking in Persons on what he deemed as a well-needed initiative. Dr. Chang says the ministry is in the process of developing a trafficking in persons policy, which will supplement the existing Trafficking in Persons Prevention, Suppression and Punishment Amendment Act of 2021.
In Jamaica, the data confirm that the main purpose of child trafficking are relatives and friends, which raises two issues. One, those of us who are involved in preventing it must become very sensitive to the issue, have to begin to pay attention very closely to what is happening, especially at our ports of entry and exit.
Kimberly Petty for TVJ News.
We now bring you these international reports.
So we paid $500 million to World Health when I was here, and I terminated it.
U.S. President Donald Trump is pulling the U.S. out of the World Health Organization, and that's raised concerns about the UN agency's ability to fight diseases and respond to emergencies around the globe. And it raises questions about funding for the agency in its mission. The main reason for that is that the U.S. is the WHO's biggest donor. It contributes about 18% of its funding. The agency's two-year budget for 2024-2025 was $6.8 billion. Data from WHO show that in that period, the U.S. financed 75% of the agency's program treating HIV and other sexually transmitted diseases. It also provided over half the contributions to combat tuberculosis, the world's biggest infectious disease killer. Trump's withdrawal is coming at a time when the World Health Organization is struggling to raise cash for health emergencies from Gaza to Ukraine. Trump is also skeptical about WHO-led negotiations for a post-COVID pandemic agreement aimed at improving global solidarity when the next health threat strikes. Billionaire Trump ally Elon Musk has said nations should not, quote, cede authority to the WHO. The U.S. will cease negotiations on the treaty while its withdrawal proceeds. In addition, the U.S. is part of a global influenza surveillance network supervised by the UN agency.
We hope the United States will reconsider.
The WHO says it plays a crucial role in protecting the health and security of the world's people, including Americans.
It's too early to say what are the consequences. We need really to look into it, what are the implications, but we will continue our work in trying really to get that funding that we need.
The European Union said it was concerned by Trump's decision and called on all WHO member states to address the financial challenge now presented. China's foreign ministry said the WHO's role in global health should be strengthened, not weakened, and promised to continue Beijing's support.
Humanitarian volunteers in Sudan say 16 civilians have been killed after paramilitary forces shelled a displacement camp close to Al Fasher. That's the capital of North Darfur. The army and paramilitary forces have been accused of indiscriminately bombing civilians and medical facilities, attacking residential areas and using mass starvation as a weapon of war. Now, this comes more than a week after the eastern city of Wad Madani was recaptured by the army from its rival, the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF. Sudan's troops and RSF militia have been fighting for control of Sudan for close to 2 years now. Many regions and cities have been affected by the ongoing violence amid limited international aid. On that, the UN predicts that by May, around half of the entire population of Sudan will face acute food deprivation. So let's speak now to Leni Kinsley, who is a spokesperson for the World Food Programme, who has made it to Port Sudan. Very good to have you with us, Leni. Have you had any luck, the World Food Programme, getting any kind of food aid into Wad Madani?
Yes, we just yesterday got 11 trucks carrying 260 metric tons of assistance into Wad Madani, less than a week since the situation there became calm enough to be able to deliver. WFP delivered. That's assistance, nutrition supplements, food packages for 20,000 people, and that's just the start. And I think that shows what we can do if we are able to deliver, if there is safe passage, and especially if the security situation allows.
Leni, there's been so much concern around famine and the different areas that are suffering with acute need. Just give us an idea of what it's like in a city like Wad Madani.
So people lack basic items, access to basic food supplies. What I hear on the ground is that people are basically surviving off of, a watered down lentil soup. That's all they get to eat in a day if they're lucky. No access to clean water. It's extremely dire situation. And Wad Madani, Madani al-Kubra is one of the 17 risk of famine locations. And when we're talking about risk of famine, these are severe levels of hunger. People are not able to have a basic meal a day. Children have high rates of malnutrition, and that is why the food assistance is so critical. That's why it's so important that we have access to these areas, and most important, that the situation is safe enough for us to get there.
On that, the army and paramilitary forces accused of indiscriminately bombing in so many areas. How dangerous is it to operate if you're a humanitarian in Sudan at the moment?
It is extremely dangerous. It's extremely difficult, especially in the areas where there is active fighting ongoing, like in Khartoum, around El Fasher, for example. We have had occasions where we've had to either delay convoys full of assistance destined to a specific area because conflict erupted, areas that we can't reach because conflict is a longer route on the way to that place. And very unfortunately, we have had WFP staff members who have lost their lives, sacrificed their lives carrying out their humanitarian duties. That is the reality of the situation we're facing. But in the face of that, we are not giving up. We continue to do whatever we can to deliver aid for the Sudanese people.
South Korea suspended President Yoon Suk-yeol attended his impeachment trial on Tuesday for the first time, where he denied ordering the military to drag lawmakers out of parliament during his botched attempt to impose martial law in December. At the Constitutional Court, Yoon rejected the accusation that he sent special troops to the National Assembly to try and stop lawmakers from blocking his decree.
In South Korea, the National Assembly and news media are far more powerful than the president. Even if I were to overstep and stop their demand to lift the martial law, it could still be done in places other than the National Assembly.
얼마든지 계엄 해제 요구를 할 수가 있습니다.
His defense lawyer Cha Gi-hwan argued that Yoon's decree was aimed at sounding the alarm over actions by the opposition Democratic Party that he said were paralyzing the government. Cha also denied testimony by military commanders who said they had orders from Yoon to arrest some opposition lawmakers, calling it ridiculous fake news.
부당성에 대해서는 더 말할 필요가 없다고 할 것입니다.
The suspended president has been detained since last week under a separate criminal probe over insurrection charges surrounding his martial law debacle. After the hearing on Tuesday, Yoon was moved to a military hospital, Yonhap news agency reported. The Justice Ministry said he was given permission to seek medical attention at a facility, but no further details were provided. Outside the court, crowds of Yoon supporters were making their voices heard. Security was heightened, with police keeping demonstrators away from the building. That's after a mob of angry supporters went on a rampage on Sunday through a district court that issued a warrant to extend his detention. Yoon was impeached by Parliament in mid-December. That gave the Constitutional Court 180 days to decide whether to remove him from office permanently or reinstate him.
You were listening to the WINN FM 98.9 newscast. Our top stories were Melissa Bouton's financial literacy push, empowering communities through your money worth.
Alexandria Hospital Nevis hit by mold outbreak. Ministry of Health awaits PAHO recommendations.
Over 1,700 traffic accidents recorded for 2024 with 13 fatalities.
St. Kitts and Nevis celebrates Marcus Garvey's clemency.
Former Guyana minister says budget lacks a sustainable plan to address poverty and cost of living. Jamaica launches digital human trafficking course. Internationally, how will Trump withdrawing from the WHO impact global health? Thank you for listening.